Hello and welcome to another episode with the GOATs of American Realty. I've been really excited about this episode, and I feel like this episode has just been canceled and rescheduled and canceled and rescheduled. But here we are, and I'm excited to hear what you ladies have to share when your wisdom with us. So today I asked these very seasoned agents with over 70 years of real estate experience to share some of the more difficult loans that they've dealt with, or maybe even some of the more challenging transactions that they've had to encounter and see over the past years, especially with all the new changes coming, your anticipations of what to expect, and any insight that you can give me and any of our new agents that may be watching. So if you don't mind introducing yourselves, just your name, and then just your years of experience, and then I'm just going to let you guys kind of, go off of what you want to share.
Okay. I'm Monica Dar, and I have been in real estate about 25 years.
And I'm Helen Jones, and I also have been in real estate for about 25 years.
And I'm Bitsy Aldridge, and I've been in real estate for about 25 years also.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Old people.
No. I mean, some of the stories that I've already heard just from these ladies, and then there are just always the go-tos that we have in the office, like, what best home insurance did you go to? What do I need to put on this closing document? How do I sign this paper? What am I supposed to do? But anyway, okay, so if you guys will share, it doesn't matter who goes first, but let's talk about maybe some of the more challenging loans that you've had to encounter.
Okay. Well, I think some of the more challenging things I've had to encounter has been when I've dealt with people that have requested short sales.
Oh.
And a short sale is if they're not able to make their payments and the property may go into foreclosure. And what a lot of people don't realize is that you need to contact your lender right away. The longer you wait, the harder it is to get this approved. If a seller reaches out to their lender and says, look, I've lost my job or whatever and I can't make these payments, can I apply for a short sale? Typically, a lender will give them some grace, and as long as they can get all the required paperwork in and, show that they have their house listed, they're working with a realtor. Now, keep in mind, these mortgage companies have to meet a certain percentage of what's left on that balance. They will not allow typically any repairs, and sometimes an agent may not get paid. Mm-hmm. The lender has to make that percentage of what's left on that loan, and brokerage fees sometimes have to be negotiated out of that transaction. They don't like to do that because they know the agent's trying to help this person get out of this loan, but sometimes it does happen. And that's very challenging because you work really hard to get these done. And also, a seller has to give that lender permission to talk to you. That has to be in writing. And then you're assigned a contact person. And I have had some work out, but that was everybody working together on these. One took about 6 months to close.
Yeah, I was about to say the name short sale is very deceiving. And I remember in real estate school, I made the comment because Michael's he's worked some with these kinds of deals before. But it's very misleading. It's not short by any means of the stretch. It's actually opposite.
That's right. Time frame is longer. Short sale just means that it's short of being able to satisfy that loan.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank you very much for clarifying. All right, so short sales. Wow. Yeah, I would not have thought to even consider anything like that. Like I said, I've heard it before, but the process of it is very foreign.
Yeah, the process is difficult. It's very difficult, very time consuming, and very detailed.
So how would a short sale benefit someone rather than a foreclosure?
That way it doesn't hurt their credit. It may be designated that they did sell something on a short sale, but the hit to their credit is not as great as if they have a foreclosure. Yeah. And it will drop off more quickly.
So it still is going to hit their credit.
It will.
Yeah.
There'll still be a hit, but you're looking, I don't remember exactly how many points, but there was a huge difference in the number of points. It was like 100 points for a foreclosure, and I think maybe half that for
a short sale.
Don't hold me to those numbers, but it was a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when we've talked to, we went to something called RAPU University, and I remember the loan, the attorney was actually saying it's a lot, it's more beneficial for the seller. They don't come
Absolutely.
out as, in the red.
They can recover more quickly
Yes,
from that
yes,
than
that
they
was-
can a foreclosure.
Yes, that's exactly what he was trying to say. Good. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
Anybody?
Well, I had a foreclosure. I had a buyer that was buying a foreclosure, and it was the process wasn't bad. The problem was when we got to repairs, their foundation needed to be repaired, and the foreclosure company said they didn't have to fix that. Finally, because my buyer was getting a mortgage, the mortgage company said they can't buy this property unless the foundation's fixed. So we kind of had to finagle back and forth with the foreclosure company to get the foundation fixed, and finally we're able to. But that's another process that's not an easy transaction either, because you go into it thinking, well, they're going to fix the things that are lender required repair, and they don't necessarily have to do that. So it was kind of a lesson learned.
And that's with the foreclosure? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you begin to think, I don't want to do a short sale or a foreclosure, but if your client wants to proceed with those, then you of course have to follow through
Right, you have
with
to
what they
follow
want
the
to
thing.
do. But I think you need to know ahead of time if you're ever doing a foreclosure to maybe ask up front, what repairs that they would do, or if they will do any of them. But I think, I think when you have a foreclosure, they want to get rid of those homes,
Right.
and so even though they say they're not going to do anything, I think they're more willing to do something, a big,
So
like
that
I
they
said.
can get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that, those, I know for me as a new agent, things like that, like the short sale, the foreclosures, reverse mortgages, things like that, they scare, they're like deterrents for new agents, because those are processes that require, number one, which is what, as a new agent, I'm finding that not everybody communicates at the same level nor at the same speed.
That's true.
So it's very difficult to try to get all of these moving parts, more so whenever it comes to something that's a lot more difficult to try to get a property moved off of the market when it doesn't meet everybody's cup of tea, whenever the seller is struggling. And it's just, for me, it's been very, very difficult. And how do you, as far as the agent goes, maybe you can give me some insight on that, but how do you navigate when when you know that certain deadlines have to be met, and you know that certain things have to be completed for it to move forward, be it the seller, be it the buyer, be it the lenders, be it, inspections, things like that. How do you cope? How do you keep the momentum going with your transaction in a way that's not like, do this or you're done? Because it got to that point for me a few weeks ago.
Well, you just have to, I think at the onset of signing any paperwork, you have to emphasize these deadlines and just let them know that these are so important. This is a contract that you're signing. It's legal, it's binding, these deadlines have to be met. I will remind you that's part of my job, but in turn you have to work with me to meet these deadlines, because if you don't, there are penalties. And I think sometimes when people sign these contracts, they don't realize, yes, it is a legal and binding contract. And that's so important, but that scenario has to be set at the onset of signing paperwork.
So even in real estate, you have to set boundaries with your, in your relationship with your clients. You have to let them know
That it is serious. This
Yeah.
is a contract, because I think since we're not attorneys or, people think, well, I just signed some paperwork. No, it's a contract. This contract is going to a title company. The attorneys draw these contracts up. It is a contract. It's not just paperwork. It is a contract once everybody signs.
That's good. That's good. Oh, someone's getting a call.
Me.
Well, okay, do you have something to share for,
I do.
not your phone call, but. Yes, go
I
ahead,
do.
please.
Well, I just wanted to share that just like in anything else, a mortgage company, all mortgage companies are not equal. And some mortgage companies can, and they all will tell you what they can do, but some of them don't have anything to back it up with. And I've had that happen to me several times when someone was more interested in the interest rate. And so they shopped and shopped and shopped until they found the cheapest one. Well, they promised them something they couldn't deliver. And they couldn't deliver on closing. And they had to wait like a month or a month and a half before they could close because they couldn't sell their loan. And then again, I've had it happen where it really backfired and it was bad. And if it hadn't been for that I had kept up with it and that I had kept the notes from emails and text messages and whatever, because this person had to move into a brand new home, and because they had sold their home and had no place to go, and all that loan had closed, but this loan couldn't close, and this is a company that these buyers had used before, and they were certain that they were going to follow through with everything they had promised, and things happened. And they communicated well with me. They acted like they were a good company. But when it came down to the bottom line, they couldn't close.
Wow.
And so they promised that, they would, the mortgage company promised that they would pay for the rental of this new home. And they promised all these things. And, of course, it was in an email and in a text message. And 3 months later, we still hadn't closed.
3 months?
3 months later, we still hadn't closed. And so I kept calling them. And I kept feeling like the mortgage company was forgetting them. So I kept calling them every day and just saying, is there anything new? And finally, we were able to close. And they did not want to pay the rent. And they didn't want to pay what they had
With that
promised.
same company?
Yeah,
With the same mortgage company?
And they didn't want to pay. And I had the emails and the text messages. And they ended up having to pay. And
Wow.
they paid what they had promised. But that, like I said, a mortgage company's not a mortgage. Every mortgage company's not alike. There's some mortgage companies that are better, and those are the companies that we need to go through.
But
We need to educate our buyers, that a mortgage company, everybody, like my husband used to say, everybody that owns a hammer is not a carpenter. But it's the same thing, Everybody that says they are a mortgage company, they have licensed themselves and that sort of thing, so they are a mortgage company. They just don't have the experience. They don't have the know-how. They don't know what to say. They don't have a team that backs them up. I've called a mortgage company before, and the man wasn't there because he had gone. They told me to go get his fax paper for the day. So in other words, he had his mortgage company in a garage, which is not bad. It's just that he doesn't have experience. So the garage is not bad. It's just the fact that he didn't have experience, and that told me a lot.
But how, so someone that's uneducated, meaning like just, off the street, your buyers and sellers, how do you decide? How do you decipher? And I know as agents, we usually give 2 to 3 recommendations, and those are ones that we've recommended, but what if you have someone that's adamant about, I love the fact that you brought up, had you not kept all of your paper trail, had you not kept calling, I think,
I wasn't ugly. I just
No, obviously,
just
no.
wanted to be sure you were.
But you need to document. You need to have documentation for things like that, especially like Helen said, if it's a mortgage company you don't know anything about.
Right.
I think you need to have, be aware of what all the things are that they're saying. So if something happens like what happened to Helen's people, that you've got that documentation and say, well, here, this is what you said.
But also the fact that she kept calling. Your buyers
Yes.
weren't calling. Like, nobody was checking on it. Who knows how long it would have been had you not kept doing that. And I think that's just so undervalued.
Yeah. And I think it's important to educate your buyer and telling them, and this is what I tell buyers, if you get 3 contracts on this house, I'm going to encourage you to take one that I know is going to go through. And that's because of the mortgage company. because the mortgage company, there's some mortgage companies can promise and promise and promise, and I've had them at the very end say, we can't fund this loan, can't do this loan because this person has so and so. Well, they should have found that out way back here.
Yeah.
And they waited till a week before to tell us that they couldn't do it. And so I want to go with a mortgage company that when they say they can, 9 times out of 10 they can. You know,
Wow.
that's a better mortgage company to me than this one over here.
And see, for me, I'm just thinking like, well, they're an industry, they're a corporation. Surely it'll be fine, but it's just not. That's not the same.
And so I will encourage that. And I've even in negotiating a contract, I've even told. I always call and ask about the mortgage company. You know, what kind of experience do you have with this mortgage company? Because there's some that I've never heard of. I call up
as the agent,
the
you
buyer's
do.
agent. Mm-hmm. And but I will call and ask. But I also have encouraged them that we don't want to do this loan. Not when other people are involved, but just when that one contract, and say, I would rather them have a different mortgage company. I don't know anything about this mortgage company, or I've heard bad things about this mortgage company, and I would, that they have it closed and that sort of thing, and I just would encourage you to maybe go back and revisit which mortgage company.
What you're thinking. Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, and I think
that's a big deal.
Well, I think that adds so much more value as a buyer's agent because you have that experience and letting them know, look, this is who I've dealt with. This is the experience that I've had. This is what's worked out for me. I mean, for our brokerage, things like that. Things like that, I don't think about. I mean, I wouldn't think about because I think everybody, anybody that's anybody, but that's invaluable
I thought
information.
the same thing.
I mean, really, they have a beautiful logo. It's printed. They send, legit paperwork. It's like, and some of these, now you got me thinking because I'm supposed to be closing today and I'm like, I've never heard of the mortgage company. So
and
we'll
sometimes
see.
just because you haven't heard of them doesn't mean that they're good. But I think, to me, I always like to tell a buyer that you need to be able to have like one-on-one with these people. That it's kind of nice to have a local, not that you always have to have one, but at least if something goes wrong, you can go into their office and sit down and talk to them.
Yeah.
But I mean, as agents, we can't force somebody to have the company that we'd like them to have.
It's their choice,
it has to be
ultimately.
their choice, and they have to be happy with that company. But at the same time, I think it's good to say, if there is a problem, it's nice to be able to just walk in and say what's going on.
Yeah.
We can recommend, but we can't make them.
No.
And you also can tell, the buyer, I don't know anything about this, the seller, I don't know anything about this mortgage company, but they say, and I have some education from the seller's agent to be able to, I'm the buyer, for the seller's agent, and I have that, she's told me about them, and she's used them before, and whatever, and that makes them feel better, and also for me.
Yeah. No, so, okay, I know that I said I wanted to make this short and sweet, so if you don't have any other little tidbits of information to give, I, already, short sale foreclosure, making sure that you have the right mortgage company that says they're going to do what they say they're going to do, and just being in communication and taking hold and managing your project, because that's really what we do. And I think people overlook that all the time as real estate agents, is we really manage projects. Your example was incredible. So other than that, you ladies, are you good? I'm good. Okay. So this is the American Realty GOAT podcast, and I just want to thank these ladies for giving their time and just their insight. We'll have another episode soon. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.